In colonial times, it might have cost 15 or 20 cents for somebody to put a secret to fall off. Then the vine is pulled out of the trees and cut into 15 to 25-foot lengths. It's then shaved to remove the remaining leaves, and it's washed and fumigated with sulfur to kill whatever insects might be. And finally, the bark is removed from the vine and cut into strips like. When I cane a chair, I first soak the strands in water and make them soft and pliable so I can bend and twist and tie. And then in this fashion, I weave 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, and 2 diagonal strands. Looks like this when I begin, and when I finish, it should look like this. And when I finish with the weaving, then I'll put a binder around the outside to cover up the holes and then make it look a little more attractive.
Chickens, Dominique chickens, and I mention all these varieties because these are the same varieties that were here when we in Penn was here. You'll notice that they're going around.
When do they shear?
Beginning of May.
Okay.
I believe this year, it's usually the first Thursday in May. We thought it didn't have to make it very little restricted. We had 4, and 2 of them are blue.
Oh yeah, I know.
This one was
We don't have any.
That's a general type of medicine, an aspirin that we would use today, an all-purpose remedy. They also used, well, we can't really important occasions, things that they were considering major events, and so this was very important to them. The witch hazel tree, the sweet gum tree was also used in our American Civil War by the South, and they made a medicine from it to combat disinfect up. There are no original structures, built on the original foundation.
Okay.
So it's interesting to note that William Penn left no drawings of any kind of the building because he considered it to be a graven image and not his. So I can tell you practically unequivocally that the buildings are very, very close to what they were. And how can I do that? Well, he was a prolific writer. And most of the building was done and he wrote about topping his sycamore trees. If you top them, they grow out and they don't grow up. And that particular tree there is probably 250 to 300 years old. So they were not necessarily in this location. Excuse me, this is the carpenter and joiner shop.
Afternoon bench.
The shade is on.
Huh.
And in the afternoon,
Afternoon
the sun
bench.
over there, we turn it around.
The house is on the left. That was an old smokehouse.
Is that right?
Smokehouse. That was the garage was the smokehouse.
You can usually tell because the tile roofs up here.
Yeah.
They didn't want fire, they were afraid. William Penn bought 2 side saddles when he was here on his second visit, one for his daughter, one for his wife, and that's how they got on the horses, with the long skirts.
We used to get on the horses at the well. There's a well in front of the house. We used to use the well to get on the horses.
Yeah.
And what is the little house over there?
That's the necessary house.
That necessary house, okay.
And the necessary house for the manor house is the brick one down there.
Okay.
And if I was, say, the carpenter, I would also have 12 to 18-year-old boys apprenticing me, living in here. And let's say my wife was the cook or the seamstress, doesn't matter. She would have 12 to 18-year-old girls apprenticing in here. At the age of 18, the girls were considered to be skilled enough so they were then pronounced to be seamstresses or cooks or whatever they were. But the boys had to actually go to another location and spend 3 months certified as a carpenter. The tool over there was used to tighten the ropes. Because you had, of course, a problem, as you can imagine, the rope sagging. And you would start it at this end, it always started over here, and you would twist it all the way around, and it would tighten them up, and then when you got over there, you tied it back tighter. And not a lot of chairs, as you can see. 1 chair, that's all that would have been in here. That chair was for the oldest male or the most honored male guest. And it led to a term we use without thinking, chairman. Plate or this is called etching. This etching is here. Notice the workmanship on this thing. This is done with a chisel, believe it or not. Beautiful piece of work.
It is.
And this would have been their fine piece. And usually it was a prominent position like up there. When you bring your kids here, they will have a hands-on history lesson. And then one of them is waking up in the morning and having breakfast. And how you get up today, scrub your teeth, go down, eat your breakfast and go. And then here they had to fetch water, get wood. We send them out to collect some eggs that our chickens have laid. And it's a very interesting thing. This is a yoke, of course, which is for a child. Goes across the child. This is called a blackjack. It's a leather cup with a lining from pine tar. And they use these for cold drinks. Keep it going, and 10 to 12-year-old boys were known as fire boys. That way they were taught the value of fire and the danger from fire. And their job was to keep that fire going. Plates, this is machine made, but you'll get the idea. They would get a tree with a bowl about this size. Cut slices in it, scoop a little of it out, and they'd use these as plates.
Okay.
And then when they got too greasy or whatnot, they would throw them in the dishwasher here. Get a new plate.
Your brooms are made of twigs.
Yep, the broom's made of twigs, and this was a beaten dirt floor. Probably wasn't it? Brick. Bricks were too hard to come by. Remember I mentioned to you that over there the beds weren't there. Everybody had their own bed, and they would roll it up during the day. So this is a bed here. The sheepskin could be used as a cover, or as a pillow if you want. There's one blanket underneath there. Children drank what they called little beer, had no alcohol. It was frequently made with molasses, a terrible, terrible concoction. Believe me, we brew it here sometimes. And when I tell that to the children, you know, you get the, ooh, they'd like to live, and I tell them about the molasses, and they kind of change their tune a little bit on that. I tell them it tastes like medicine, and it does. Brewing process, interesting, same as today, no change. They would grow the barley, bring them, one big change, sanitary conditions, not the same. I don't know if you've ever been to a modern brewery, stainless steel.
Right.
European beers use more hops, therefore they're usually more bitter than the American and Canadian beers. And it holds 2,000 gallons of water. The water was used in the brewing process. Came from the river. Now, this is very important. I never drank water. Never drank it, hardly ever touched it. The reason being, all these people came from Europe, and water to them is sickness, because all the rivers were polluted, all the streams were polluted, with raw sewage, rivers splashing around, swimming, having a wonderful time in these smelly old settlers up here, never going near it, hardly ever washing or anything because of the fear of the water. Now they drank coffee and tea and beer and hot chocolate, all of which have a component of water. They never seemed to catch on to the fact that the water